what's up? Well, I'm experimenting with it. So we started, but it's like coming soon. So you can pull up and you will see it's a coming soon text, and I copy pasted. I inserted one of the. I'm just cropping the images. I'm going to also mute the, because I'm pulling W in a we are ready to go. So whenever you finished chit chatting, I was gonna was gonna go to the bathroom quick. So while you finish up, so I don't have to go in the next hour or so. But I'll be back in 1 minute. Okay. Sounds good. Are you guys ready? Okay. So we are already broadcasting live, but it's a coming soon sign. We have 17 viewers. So when we transition, we just introduce and everything, and then we can go from there. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. Yeah, I know. Poor Rui. Yeah. Anyway. Well, she's having really good games. She just can't convert those last couple of minutes. Anyway, let's go. Let's go live and then we can talk about this, okay? Okay, let's. Yeah. Okay. So. Welcome everyone. I think we are live. Let me peek into our into my headset and see if we are good. We are joining the 2020 U.S. Cadet Online National Championship. This is round 4 out of a 7-round, 8-player round robin tournament. And we had first round last night, and then the round 2 and 3 this morning and this early afternoon. And 4 p.m. Round 4 started, and we together with Paul Whitehead, FIDE Master Paul Whitehead, I would like to welcome Grandmaster Patrick Wolf, who is going to join us tonight to help us with the analysis. Welcome, everyone.
Okay.
So what game are we looking at here?
So we have 4 games going on. We have this game is between Rui Yang with white against Justin Wang, who's with black.
So Ryan just played 92, which I don't like. I I don't understand why she didn't take that pawn on b5. Like you,
to release the bishop.
yeah, to get that bishop active. So now if I'm black, I think I'd play b4. Just shut that bishop down because you've got a4 under control. Take more space, stop that knight from getting to c3. Um, yeah, I don't think it's phenomenal, but it looks to me like black is better. Why not?
And then what? Everything shifts over to the king's side.
That's interesting. I don't understand why capture because that just gives white. Oh, I see. Okay, so now we're gonna.
Black is playing on the B file or trying to play something on the B file. These
Yeah,
young players look for the tactical solutions.
yeah. Um, this is interesting. I am a bit skeptical, but let's see. I'm relatively happy actually to give that pawn under the right circumstances. So, for
Yeah.
example, if white plays knight c3, and then pawn takes pawn, bishop takes pawn, queen takes b2, um, and take and take.
I think Roy would be disappointed though to defend another position a pawn down.
Yeah. Anyway,
Probably.
all right. So taking certainly makes plenty of sense. No reason to sacrifice a pawn if there's no need to. And then I assume take with the queen. Um, I don't know. You could even take that knight on e6. Um,
Looks like black is good here no matter what happens though. It's
um,
got kind of feeling to it.
I'm not sure. If queen takes pawn, bishop a4.
Could
Um,
could you play queen takes b2?
yeah, for sure. And take, and rook takes, bishop takes, and rook takes knight. Um, I'm just trying to think if there's any comp there, but maybe not. But at any rate,
I'm following you.
certainly if queen takes pawn, if nothing else, white can simply defend the pawn with something like rook a3 or knight d2. Black can play knight d4. I imagine you take that with the bishop. And then why does white have any problems there? Either way you'd go? I don't know. I don't know. I think this is actually kind of classic junior chess where he was happy to give up the A file in order to try to get some tactical solution, like you were saying. But it's not at all clear to me that this position is any better for black anymore. Whereas if black had simply played b4, just with more space and more control, I think it's an edge. So now,
Okay, so now black wants to play bishop takes d3,
sure.
probably.
So, right. So obviously white should do something to protect the bishop, whether knight d2 or rook a3. White could take on e6 and then f takes e6. That's also possible, though that seems like it's okay. So
She just pounds out rook knight c1 without thinking too much about it.
funny to me because I would have preferred the knight on f3 because I think the knight on e2 actually is reasonably active. But the knight on f3 actually isn't doing very much. And now the knight on c1 is actually pretty passive. But at any rate, it defends d3. So I imagine black might play knight d4.
Yeah, to restrict white some more.
And then, so, I mean, of course, this is the argument that if you want to keep that bishop. So knight d4, now you can play knight takes d4. E takes d4, bishop f4, bishop d2, seems all right. C takes d4.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of this. you sense that white's sort of playing without a strategic plan, and black might be following along without playing a strategic plan either,
Yeah.
or something here. It's a bit like let's exchange some pieces and see what happens. So I'm not convinced that the players themselves kind of have a grip on it here.
Yeah, I kind of agree. At any rate, I think black is slightly better for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's
Do
not
you
clear.
guys want to check out another game?
yeah.
Absolutely.
Sounds good. So the next one in line for me is Andrew Hong, International Master Andrew Hong with white against FIDE Master Max Liu um, with black here. And they are in move number 18.
All right. So I assume black plays b4. I don't think you want to touch the king side.
Probably not.
Oh, so if b4, you can play g5, bishop e7, c4. That's the idea.
Oh,
Right.
that's a great idea. Yeah,
So you can't play b4
to
yet.
deal with the queenside pressure. That's
All right.
nice.
So in that case, you can play g6. So you will touch the king side after all, because then on g5, you move the bishop back to g7 to keep the bishop on that diagonal.
That looks nice and safe for black.
Yeah, it seems reasonable.
Yeah,
I don't believe that white has an attack in this position.
I agree. I think
I don't-
if there was another knight on the board, it would be
Right,
more interesting.
right. But I don't think you can really pry open those dark squares. You can try like g5, bishop g7, g6, g5, bishop g7, and then bishop f4 to go bishop e5, and then. But this looks very artificial and slow to me. Black has plenty of time to get some counterplay going. I think black basically just wants to play rook fc8, and then push on the queen side, right?
Yeah, and it makes me wonder sometimes about the been seeing these queenside advances, and white needs to do something on the king side. I can see why he's doing that, so that he doesn't just get murdered over on the queen side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's funny.
So
It's
I
funny.
think a big decision black has to make is does he want to play g6, so to drop the bishop back to g7, or does he want to just move the rooks on the queen side and let the bishop go back to e7? And I'm not sure, but my hunch is g6 is a useful move to play after all.
Yeah.
So are there any other strategies here? Black could play e5.
But what about for white? What's white supposed to be trying to do here?
Well, I think white is trying to play on the king side.
Sure.
And stop b4 with tactics for a while.
Yeah.
I just want to see, I don't think e5 is possible, but I just want to check for a minute. So I guess actually on e5 you can play g5, and on e4 you can play rook takes e4, and that actually looks like a pretty decisive.
That's a nice tactic. Very nice.
Okay, so that doesn't work. So my guess is you want to play g6. You don't want to play bishop takes h4, because then white plays g5.
Yeah, that's.
And that would be very problematic, I think.
I mean, g4, white's trying to settle something on the king side and before he loses on the queen side, I guess. Yeah. Maybe white should try to exchange the dark squared bishops with bishop g5 even.
Well, it's black's turn.
Yeah, so, that's right. Yeah.
So I think he played g6, and if bishop h6, you just move the rook over somewhere. You don't trade the bishops, I think. And I think actually black's position is fine here. I don't think white really has an attack going. White can try to get something going on the king side, particularly after bishop h6, if you don't trade the bishops. But like you said, there's no knight. I think the king's pretty solid on g7. I think it takes a long time to move the rook and to line the rook and the queen up. I don't know. If you don't
Kyron is in the chat and he's saying if black plays g6, can white think about opening the h file and king g2, rook h1?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. But I don't think it happens that quickly. And if it does, in the end, you have knight f8, I think. So I don't think. So I guess actually. So, all right. So if you go g6, I guess white's plan would be g5, bishop f4, king g2, rook h1, h5, like that, queen h3. And then if you have to move the knight, if you have to drop the knight back, then bishop e5 happens there, and you trade the dark square bishops. And now maybe there's some kind of an attack going.
Maybe black should just play rook a c8 and b4.
Yep.
And not get distracted too much on the king side yet.
So rook a c8, g5, bishop e7, and then maybe a3.
A5.
Yeah. And then, but then, for example, you have queen e2. So.
Right.
Or,
I suppose. Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be one of these, cut and thrust type of things for a while, I think, until. But I think white's right that there's a bit of a crisis going on here, and he can't just allow black to steamroller on the queen side without doing something. So I kind of like g4 for that reason. Piece play isn't going to lead anywhere for white.
Well, Judith, why don't we circle to another game, and we'll come back and see what Maximilian decides to do, whether to play g6 or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Andrew Hong is, I think, the third highest rated in the 8-player bunch. So I'm pretty sure he's going to
have a
fight.
thought.
Okay, next game that we are taking a look at is Bay Area local Christopher Yu with black, and Southern California local Robert Shilayankto or something like that. It's funny, I can't even pronounce his name correctly. He was the winner of the 2019 Barber Championship, so he had an automatic spot in this round robin, and I'm very happy to. I was very happy to see that he accepted this invitation. So.
Now, queen a2 looks like white's thinking too much.
And he's currently standing with 2 points out of 3 rounds. So he's facing Christopher Yu, who is 2.5. And we are in move number 14.
So I was just going to say it's black has to decide what his plan is. I'm not convinced bishop a8 is a plan. One thing I'd like to do is to move the queen or the rook on b8 off that diagonal, because there's a lot of tactics that might work so long as white doesn't have bishop f4.
Now white's probably going to play knight g5 here or something like that.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I'm not a fan of bishop a8. I mean, I think I understand, like, the idea is to go a6, b5, but that seems pretty slow. And
I agree. Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of tactics that you want to sidestep with bishop f4. And even if you got b5 in, white would have knight a5. So I'm not not convinced about this at all. I like knight g5. I think that's a good move, or certainly one to consider. Knight g5, I assume black would consider e6.
Right. Queen a2 is an odd move. I mean, it gives black moves like, even knight to say take c3 and
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
getting a bunch of pawns and the rook. I don't know. It's a funny looking move. But
knight g5 is one possibility. What else? You could maybe.
I guess the normal moves are from the old King's Indian ideas are bishop d2 or knight d2, knight fd2 or h4 or
Yeah, I don't. Maybe e4. I don't like knight fd2 because I'd much if I'm going to do this, I'd much rather move the knight towards d5. Like
yeah.
I do like the idea of h4, although it may be a bit slow. I'm inclined to think knight g5. Probably knight g5 is what I'd play here in a blitz game at this point.
Right.
I do think that queen on a2 is very odd, so I do want to try to unlock it somehow. Knight e3 might be a move. Here the problem is after knight takes knight, bishop takes knight, hangs the d pawn, and rook takes knight, probably steps into bishop h6. So once again, I like knight g5. It helps to pressure f7 a bit.
I think bishop a8 is I don't know. It's an odd move as well. Queen after queen a2.
No, I agree with that. It is an odd. I don't like it. I think the move that I would want to play here is knight g5. That seems like it's going the right way somehow. F7 and e6 if black plays e6 to shore up that knight on d5. That makes a lot of sense. I do think that queen, I'd much rather have that queen on b3 because it would it'd be quicker to get it to d1 f3, for example, but I guess we'll see. You could follow up knight g5, e6 with h4, perhaps. Yeah.
If rook e6 doesn't work.
Yeah, I was thinking about that, but I don't think it does.
And then you withdraw after taking the rook, the rook on d8 with the knight. You bring the knight back to e3 or something like that, and
well, he's played e6, knight g5. Sorry, so that looks good to me. And then my guess is e6.
I guess. I wonder if Shylak Tenko is from the same town that Tal is from or something here.
Anyway, so this is game 3, and then game 4, the fourth game this round is Christopher Shen. I believe he's a FIDE master, Christopher Shen, that's correct, from Ohio. He's with white against Arthur Guo, who is from Georgia. He's an international master, and
who is leading the tournament with Christopher Yu, right?
Exactly, with 2.5 points, leading with Christopher Yu, tying Christopher Yu currently, and they are in move number 16.
Well, I mean, if I'm white, I want to play knight d3 and f4 and win with the two bishops. But in the meantime, black is going to play a4 and has his own ideas.
Yep.
So
he just moved bishop h3.
I was wondering whether there was some way to set up the sacrifice on d4 e5, but maybe that's off the table now. I was thinking maybe rook a d1, for example. But again, probably off the table now. Because you'd really want that bishop on g2 if you were going to try to set something like that up. I would imagine black plays a4.
Yeah, that looks like the follow-up. I mean, I guess. And this could go either way in the next few moves. It's kind of going to depend on what they're doing. Let's take a look at the Roy game again.
Sounds good. So we go back to Rui's game.
Yeah, knight c5 might be good here too. I mean, knight e5 and then I don't know, d3 or knight takes e4. Yeah.
So
Right.
where were we? Where did we leave off? Do you guys remember?
Well, I don't think checkmate was being threatened.
Yeah, no. This is black is threatening checkmate. Yikes. And
So I can go back. I think we left off somewhere around move 18 maybe, right? Or was it 19? Do you guys want me to go back a few moves?
We can leave it here.
Okay.
I expected f3. That seemed like a great move.
And now black wants to play bishop get the bishop to e3 or something.
Yeah.
It seems to be going black's way here.
I would imagine bishop c6 or bishop d7 here. Do not think you want to allow the trade of those bishops and the knight to come to c4. I think that would be very beneficial for white.
Yeah. How about bishop to b4 maybe? I don't know, Patrick.
Well, maybe. If bishop b4, bishop takes b5, bishop takes d2, bishop c4, but that loses a pawn, and that's an important pawn to lose, I think. Yeah.
I'm just kind of trying to undermine some. I mean, it just looks difficult for white here. Black's putting on the pressure here.
Bishop b4, then knight e4.
Yeah, that's true. Knight e4. The bishop on b4 is blocking the b file. It's not easy, unless it is easy.
I still like bishop c6. Like I think.
How about knight d5 with the idea of playing knight e3? And if white takes, black takes and has the two bishops, and that must be good for black.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And that also opens the way for bishop to g5, knight d5.
Knight d, yes. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That might be difficult.
I think there's no question that black is better, probably quite a lot better.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how this got out of control, but
it was wavering there, with white's play, with a play there. I thought the knight went back to c1.
What else is happening, Judith?
Yeah.
So we can go back to Andrew Hung's game with Max Liu.
Wow, we got your variation, Patrick. Look at that. Incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Just winning for white now, I think.
So e5 was played, and then g5, e4, and rook takes e4.
Maximilian is not having a great tournament. I think he's just he's like Roy, a little bit stunned in this tournament so far.
So now I think d takes e4, bishop takes e4, queen c8 is forced. And then don't think there's a good move with the queen to threaten checkmate because g6 will just always.
White can just play bishop takes rook, right? And
Yeah,
then
no, that's right. No, obviously bishop takes rook, queen takes, and then queen takes, rook takes, g takes f6, knight takes f6. It's a pawn up for white. It's a clear pawn. So I was just trying to think if there's some other way.
right.
But I don't think so. I think the straightforward way is the right way. And that looks like a very good position for white. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah, White was living for that move. It's funny when you're analyzing a game and then the position actually shows up on the board. I'm always a little bit surprised when that happens, as though our dreams are materializing somehow, you know?
Well, I think this is winning for white.
Yeah.
Well, let's peek into Christopher and Robert's game. Christopher again with white and Robert with black.
Okay, so bishop d2 just to develop a piece. That makes sense.
Yeah.
It was not my favorite probably, but I get it. You want to shore up c3. That makes sense. Yeah, I think white is probably for choice here. I don't think it's a huge advantage, but I think it's a hard position for black to play. And like somehow white gets to massage things a little bit. I mean, I imagine probably with best play, it's actually a pretty good position for black. But one problem with actually the bishop d2 is now maybe black can play h6. And if knight e4, f5.
Right. There you go.
Yeah, actually,
Right away.
maybe that bishop move was just a mistake. I would have liked to have played h4 with white.
On h6, though, White probably go knight takes e6. Why
sure.
not?
but f takes e6, queen takes e6, rook takes e6, excuse me, queen f7. You know, I think.
Then you look around. No, just kidding.
Yeah, well, by that time you've
Yeah.
So yeah.
I guess double rooks, but then yeah, I agree. It looks fishy somehow.
Chiron is you guys may have covered this because I had to pay a little bit of attention of the backroom monitoring, but Chiron is suggesting on the chat rook e4.
Oh, that was from the previous game.
Oh, okay. Sorry about it.
Yeah.
I'm pulling double duty now with monitoring the kids with their Zoom cameras. So
Uh,
what else after knight h6? After pawn h6?
Well, obviously you just drop it back to f3, but you'd rather not. But I mean, I think h6, knight e4, f5. The nice thing about h6 too, from a practical perspective, is white could burn a fair amount of time trying to find an alternative to knight f3.
Right.
Not the move he wants to play. But I don't think the alternatives are any good. I don't see why they would.
These are two of the favorites, I think, in the tournament by rating and reputation and.
Well, by rating, not really, because international master Justin Wang is higher rated or equal rated than Christopher.
Patrick, Kyron pointing out the interesting idea of if pawn h6, knight e4, f5, knight goes into d6.
Yep. So you take twice.
And then you play rook e6.
Very nice. That's right. That's right. Okay. Yep. Correct. So h6, knight e4, you set it up by putting the knight on e7 or some such.
This is, I mean, these positions have to be played dynamically, right? I mean, it's like it comes from the Bronstein, all back from the 1950s and the way that Bronstein and people were playing this opening. It's all about being alert for the tactical ideas.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. So, so if H694, then I still like H6 somehow because I think you can defend against that threat, and then White's going to have
Black
to,
doesn't have to play F5.
right. White's going to have to lose a tempo, making room for that knight.
So maybe Black goes ahead and plays H6, 94, A6, and tries to play B5 and go ahead with that idea.
That's a good point. That's possible. Yep.
Complex.
Or knight CE7. I like the idea of opening up that A8 bishop.
I actually invited Chiron back if you guys are fine with it.
Yeah.
Because he's in the chat anyway. I feel so stupid relaying his messages to you guys.
Yeah.
No, we're watching them. I'm watching them on the chat.
Yeah, I know, but I figured like he can come and talk with you guys.
Chiron
and so he has like 30 minutes, so I figured
it's great. Yeah.
He can be a good.
He's a fine player.
Yeah. So Robert is actually a very underrated player. I watched Robert grow up in the past few years. He's been practicing. He's been participating in tournaments. So okay, there you go.
Hey.
Hello again.
Christopher Yu is a proven, strong player. He's probably, he and Hong, right, are probably the highest rated players in the tournament. They're both in the 2500s, right?
Yeah, so Christopher and Andrew Hong and who else? Justin Wang are in the 2500s. And then, so Robert is quite underrated with 2450. And I think he got his first IM norm a couple of weeks ago in Charlotte.
Right.
They had an over-the-board tournament, norm tournament in the Charlotte Chess Center. So it was quite exciting to see him play there.
So Black could play A6 right away. Nope.
So Black gets out of all those little pins and stuff. Queen D7.
Yeah.
And Dimple Ditch is saying Robert was a guest on Coffee Chess. And he was very funny. Yeah, I'll check it out because that's a good show.
Maybe Rook A1 now?
Bishop H3 might be a little bit annoying too, but could just be a one-move threat.
No, Bishop H3 is good. Then Rook E8. I mean, you kind of want to play H4 and Bishop H3, right? If you can. I feel like the positional move is H4. And then if Black moves the knight from D5, then what? H4, knight F6. Oh, but Bishop F4 is always there, right? Yeah. All right, so H4.
I always like the move H4, no matter what.
If Bishop H3, then Rook E8. I'm not sure what the follow-up is.
Yeah, H4 first seems right. That or like Rook A to D1, something like that.
I think Black wants to play Rook, reorganize the rooks. So Black is, Rook E8, wants to play Rook E8.
Yeah.
I think that White has subtly bamboozled Black a little bit here, I think. It feels like.
Yeah. Also, by the way, that d6 square is going to be a bit of a right. So, like, you could imagine something like h4, rook e8, knight e4, and then
Yeah.
like
Yep.
it's not
Some
clear whether it
sudden.
threatens anything, but it just like looks really nasty.
Yeah, well, I mean, I love these King's Indian type of things, and in the hands of great players and people who have a good touch, this can be incredibly,
I mean, I think like
explosive.
White's plan here is to play like h4, rook ad1, bishop c1, and then
H5.
h5, and then like somehow like you might have the option of playing d4 and queen b1 at some tricky moment. Like you sort of somehow want to set the pieces up like that, I think.
And what does Black want to do?
You don't even have to play bishop c1, by the way. You just play rook ad1. No reason to do that. Black, well, that's the problem. It's a little not clear what Black wants to do here, I think Black, I actually kind of like the queen on c7 because I like having the d6 square covered, but I like the idea of moving the knight. I like having d6 and e5 covered because I wanted with the queen on c7 to play knight c e7. But yeah.
That left possibilities of sacrificing on f7. Here comes h4. Nice move.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying b5 is the only plan.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, the problem with b5 is
weakens the pawn of c5 to knight e4.
And it opens up the a file. Like b5 is absolutely a good plan, but it has to come at the right time, or else it helps white more than black.
It seems like I'd prefer my rooks on e8 and d8 if I were black here. The rook on b8 kind of doesn't help unless we do play b5.
Well, I agree that rook b e8 would be an excellent move, but it has
yeah. No, that's the kind of move you could play before the computers.
Okay.
You can't get away with it anymore.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to switch games?
Yeah, let's switch games. Switch over.
Okay, let's pink into the fourth game. Arthur and Christopher. Wow, we are on a move 23rd, 23.
So is White just getting desperate here with f4?
Yeah.
Well, I imagine queen takes b3. Yeah.
Yep.
This is looking not good.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Christopher Shen is in the 2-point score group, 2.0 score group. So it's facing Arthur Gore with 2.5. So this is a
who's really in form for this
game,
tournament.
important game. Whether Arthur is gonna.
But I guess you kind of have to play knight d3 and allow queen takes c4 and play f takes e5 and pray.
Or black
after knight d3, you could even trade the queens and play f6 and just be a very clear pawn up.
That's what I was thinking too.
It's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I think White will probably trade and play f takes e5 and try to win the d pawn maybe.
Yeah, but if you do that, queen d3, rook d3, f takes e5, and then black plays c5.
Yeah.
I guess you can go knight f3, but boy, it looks ugly no matter.
Yeah, White's in trouble here, I think.
Well, the bishop on a1 dies no matter what. It just can't even move.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. F takes e5, I guess. And now
and black just has to be careful here and should be able to convert.
yeah, the first thing to check is whether d3 wins right away. I suspect it does not, but still it does need to be checked.
There you go.
And
Maybe knight f3 then.
By the way, there's bishop c5, but then knight f3, right? And then d3 check, king g2, and that holds. And takes
Yeah.
d3 check probably does not work, although you could take and play knight takes e5, although there is a rook b3 trick happening there. I mean, obviously, the obvious move is c5, right? And just
Yeah.
lock it down, and that position is horrible.
Yeah, what does white even do? Like knight f3, and then after that, white has no moves beside like king g2. Like you can't do anything.
Yeah.
Knight f3, rook b4, starting to try to go, and yeah, it's just bad.
Sure.
It's just bad, but I think that's what white has to do after c5, right? Because you can't allow knight takes e5, because you lose a pawn and you also lose c4. And there's no other move. Rook f5, g6. So c5, knight f3 seems like the way this could go. And
Well, we should come back. Let's see what's going on in the next game. If that's my vote anyway.
sure. Go for it.
Yeah, I'll jump to Rui's game, back to game number 1, Rui's game. Somebody was asking in the chat, what are we doing for fair play review? So we are not only monitoring the players with 2 cameras and make sure that they play fairly, we also send the games to Dr. Ken Regan at University of the Buffalo. And he's a mathematician, a statistician, and he's an expert in this field. So he's reviewing all the games. He already reviewed round number 1 and 2 and found it to be clean and nothing out of the ordinary. So as soon as I have time, I'll send him round number 3, and then obviously tonight round number 4. So we are doing that, as well as chess.com will review their on their side too. And obviously they have a few more data point to add to their analysis where they can. So this is all the measures that we are taking, and hopefully we'll have a clean game. So this is Rui with white against international master Justin Wang with black.
I mean, I think the problem for white is just worse. You know, it's the 2 bishops, and black just has all the potential here. It's, you know,
I agree with that.
It seems a little bit better than the last time we checked in, though. With the bishops are a lot less active. The black's bishops are a lot less active than they were.
Actually, it's interesting. The thing about bishops, Karen, is they can be all the way on the other side of the board and still be active. That I've learned that recently, that they don't have to be in the middle of the action to be active.
Well, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, black is just better. Like, this game could go on for quite some time, but black is just better. And by the way, I wholeheartedly support the plan of taking that bishop. I think that bishop is white's best piece. I think black is just always better in these positions. So I guess white probably plays either knight a5 or knight d2.
I mean, white's going to thrash around here, but it's just going to, you know, in terms of the long term,
yeah,
it's going to be tough. There's
very, very pleasantly better.
All kinds of ways that black can try to improve the position,
yep,
including pawn storm on the king side, or just millions of things.
Completely agree with that.
Yeah, I think white's dark square weaknesses on the king side are going to be a very long-term issue with the black bishop able to come to g5 or h4 at some moment.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. It's
so
still a game. It's still a game, though.
What happened in the rook takes e4 game?
Was this the rook takes e4?
Oh, yeah.
This
so
is
black
the next
has gone.
game.
Yeah. I just left it there.
Yeah.
Funny.
So black went back to d8.
Oh yeah. Well, that's an excellent move.
And look at white calmly doubles rooks.
I mean, it's a little bit unnecessary. You could have just dropped the rook back somewhere and then double rook's next move. But yeah, this is just very good. I imagine black plays.
Black is in shock.
Yeah. You know, the one thing I will say about, like, instead of playing, like, I don't know, rook e2 or something like that, now black can play b4, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And rook e8, but it's not clear rook e8 actually accomplishes very much.
Black's got to try something desperate here.
Yeah. So if I were black, I would play b4 here. And probably actually c takes b4 is completely fine, but at least then you've broken up the pawns, right? So you've kind of done something. Yeah, but I would play b4. So actually, I'm not sure that was the right move, because if you drop the rook back, then if black had played b4, you play c4, and it's even better.
But I mean, if you play b4 and I take it, then black's down 2 pawns.
Sure, but at a minimum, black can play something like queen b6, for example.
Yeah.
Which threatens to take the rook. And then you get your choice of taking the d4 pawn. I mean, like, look, don't get me wrong. This position is lost for black. I'm just saying that, and b4 probably just loses a pawn. I'm just saying that at least it does something.
Yeah, yeah.
If black doesn't do anything, this is just going to go completely south. So you've got to try something.
So there's south, and there's more south, and then there's, deep south,
And then there's the South Pole.
South Pole,
and then there's the moon. So, yeah.
Well, we should move on.
Yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, it's very bad for black.
So next game in the line, in the row is Christopher and Robert.
Here we go. All right.
So h6 was played and 94. Now black hunkers down with 97.
Yeah. Boy,
I'm looking. I want white to land some tactic here.
Of course, yeah. Yeah. You want to look for the tactics here, but it's not clear if there's anything.
Yeah.
So
yeah, go ahead.
I guess black is just trying to play knight to f5. I'm trying to figure out what black is trying to do here.
Well, to start with, just to activate that bishop on a8, right? At least now it's doing something, sort of. I mean, the more you shore up d5, the more you kill the queen on a2. So there's actually something to be said for that.
That's interesting.
That's a good point.
True.
The caveman in me wants to play h5, and then if g5 to take on g5. I'm not saying it's sound, but it's appropriate for this age group. Let's put it that way.
It's funny because there's h5 and a5.
Yes, that's true. A5 is mature adult, which is more appropriate for our age group.
That's why I suggested a5.
I like it. The funny thing is, the only problem with a5 is b5, actually.
And then I'm hoping I can take on c5 without analyzing any variation.
But I don't think you can, right? Because you just go queen.
Yeah, I don't think so.
96, that makes sense.
What an amazing night. I mean,
but what are you going to do after a6 now?
This is the game of the day, because or the game of the round. It's so
Oh.
complex.
Okay, so I think the idea after a6 is to play bishop takes h6
Yeah, and take on f7.
and then take on f7. That's clearly.
But is bishop h6 even? Like, what if a6, bishop h6, and then just b5?
That's an excellent question. And
Huh.
then bishop takes g7. I would assume.
Yeah, and then you can probably take either piece. Well, let's just take the bishop for argument's sake. King takes g7.
I would take the bishop on g7, right? Yeah. Yeah. Not clear to me at all.
And then white has to do something like knight f7.
Yes, and then pawn takes knight on c4, and then knight e5.
I don't know.
That's probably good compensation, right? But
What do we have? We have 3 pawns.
okay,
It's
this is White's idea. White's idea is to play bishop takes h6. So let's not just step into that idea. Let's figure out what a good counter to it is.
Is knight f5 the right idea now for black?
Knight f5 is certainly possible. The only drawback is knight takes f5. Okay, so knight c8. Here we go. Makes perfect sense. Knight b5 steps into a6, right? So I assume either knight e4 or knight takes knight.
The knight e4 f5 now, right?
Yes. Also knight e4, knight c e7 just repeats, but leave that aside. Knight e4 f5 looks very reasonable. Yeah, I think knight c8.
So you probably have to trade. Yeah.
So you trade, but then rook b takes c8, and surely black has gotten the better of that exchange, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, white will try knight e5, but then black can just move the queen.
Yeah, but that knight on e7 that knight has probably always been black's worst piece, and you've managed to take that nettlesome knight on d6 off for it, so that's probably a plus. So if knight takes f7, queen takes f7, right? Not king takes f7, bishop h6, presumably, but queen takes f7. And then bishop h3.
He just took on c8.
Oh, too bad.
Yeah,
My idea was less sound, but much more interesting.
If Tal had been playing white, there might have been some different moves here.
Honestly, I realize it's too late, but knight f7 was interesting to me. Queen f7, bishop h3, rook e8. And then the question is, is it too slow to just double rooks on the e file? But at any rate, we're not going there. So
no, it's interesting. It's interesting.
Now, knight e5, I guess, and then you move the queen like c7 and knight g4.
Seems like black is at least, if not equal, is probably a little bit better here now with the weakness on the d pawn.
Maybe. I mean, look, the simple move is you can just go rook a d1, right?
I think white should have done that instead of knight e to d6.
Well, I completely agree with that. I think knight e d6 was a mistake. But
yeah,
be that as it may, okay, so we've got this position now, rook a d1, and I guess now you probably move the knight, the d5 knight e7 or something.
After rook a d1.
Yeah, I mean, white still has some possibilities of playing h5 and stuff like that. It's
maybe. I remember once in the old days, Yasser Seirawan won a game when someone did that, sort of assuming that you could never take that pawn, and he just took it.
Right.
Actually turned out to be very useful because h4 was coming next, right?
Right.
This might be one of those positions.
That's true. That's actually true. Yeah.
And also, by the way, you can go knight f6 at some point, and it's also sort of nice to have that h5 pawn. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the quiet move is rook a d1, and I think I agree with you, Chiron. I think probably black's at least equal, but it's a position, and the game goes on, and I don't think it's terrible for white. I think it's basically fine.
So shall we move on to the next game?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
still disappointed they didn't go knight takes f.
Oh.
Robert knight f7.
Knight
Oh,
e5 was just made.
So maybe queen c7, knight takes g6, and white's still going to try something like that.
Yeah.
Possible.
yeah, but
Gets 2 pawns and threatens a third one. It looks fishy.
but I think it looks a little fishy to me.
I think it looks fishy as well.
Sorry.
Anyway, next game is Christopher Shen and Arthur Guo. This was wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this one. Yeah, the bishop on a1 is still there. It's never going anywhere.
So I guess you go rook b1, but then you can even go knight takes e5, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, why not?
That's unfortunate. It's like
White's in a world of trouble here.
So rook e1 and just grovel, I guess. Yeah, this is ugly. Judith, this is not age appropriate for anybody. Please. Here it comes.
It's still, I mean, maybe white can put up some kind of fabulous defense. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not completely over yet, right? Like the game still goes.
Well, how do you defend c4 after trade and knight b6?
Well, you can play knight.
That's a good question.
And then bishop g5.
Yeah.
Oh, knight b3. Oh, knight e4. Right.
But I think after rook takes, king takes, just
bring the king to e6.
Actually, h5 might be quite useful there because what you're threatening is g5 with the idea of playing g4. And then if white plays h3, now you've got the line for the king with king h7, king g6. So that actually might be sort of the right way to do it. Anyway, I mean, it's an interesting question how accurately he'll play this, but this is really, really bad.
Yeah, which game do you guys want to switch back to?
We'll just keep rotating.
Yeah, just keep rotating. Here we go.
Okay. Let's jump back to Rui's game. She's playing international master Justin Wang.
I wholeheartedly support keeping that bishop on b3, just because it's basically her only active piece. I once had a conversation with Viswanathan Anand many years ago, where he was describing the merits of moving, like when you have one of these bishops, putting it on a2 rather than b3. And he explained to me that the big advantage of having the bishop on a2 is that every so often your opponent will forget that it's there. But it's hard to overlook it here because it's, like I said, it's her only active piece. But no, I like bishop b3 is the right move, I think. And then, this is one of those positions where it's very bad, but it's not lost. And there are plenty of pieces on the board and something could happen. But at the moment, it just looks comfortably better for black, doesn't it?
Certainly does.
Last game, Rui came back from a sort of lost position to almost winning the game, and then she was lost, and then she was equal, and then she was probably lost again, and then it was a draw. Well, yeah, and even Abel was telling me
then she lost again. Sorry, that's right.
Yeah,
she lost again, but she all 3 games she turned around, and she was at least a drawing position, if not winning position. So
I don't think this is over yet. I don't think this is over.
No, it's not over.
Rui is never over. Kyron, you played Rui, right? During the
she's tenacious. I try to make the position as dull as possible and try to
That's been very effective.
Positional grind so that she doesn't checkmate me somehow.
Yeah, no, that's been very effective. I've watched it.
So that's your tactics against her.
It's classic old man chess, which is unfortunate because I don't consider myself an old man yet, but my chess definitely is trending that way.
Well,
I mean,
Byron,
actually, it's a good way to play.
I can tell you with near certainty that if everything goes well for you, you will eventually become an old man. So you might as well practice now.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think in this position, either knight d5 or maybe bishop takes knight first and then knight d5, but probably knight d5 right away for Justin.
What about inserting rook c8 and making the queen a little bit less active?
Maybe.
I guess it doesn't really do anything.
Although, yeah, it's not clear to me it's less active on d1 than c2. I don't know. Maybe, I guess after knight d5, there's bishop takes, and queen c7. Maybe that's annoying, right? Well, we're going to find out. So, if bishop takes, queen c7, then just bishop d6. That's very straightforward. This looks like a good move.
I think white's just getting, the knight was just on d5, but...
Now maybe knight c4.
Black could even play knight, knight c4 threatens knight takes e5.
Yeah, I would play knight c4 here. In fact, this actually was one argument for taking that knight on d2 and then playing knight d5, but anyway. Who knows? Stockfish knows. Leela knows.
Are there any good discoveries after knight c4 to target the bishop on b3? That's what I was trying to make something work.
I don't think so. I mean, you could play bishop to c3, but then maybe you could play bishop c3. I don't know. That looks kind of weird, though. Bishop a.
Yeah.
It just looks weird.
Well, you could probably just take the bishop on c3, and you get rook a8 at the end, which might be trouble.
That's absolutely true. That's right. So anyway, knight c4. I want to play knight c4 here.
And black can play queen e7 maybe. Black should maybe be thinking of bringing the pieces over.
Yeah, but then you get to play bishop a4, which might help things a bit. Although I guess black can go rook a8, so tricky. Knight c4 also has a threat, so that's useful. Knight c4, queen e7, queen e2. I don't know. This seems to me somehow I think white's activating her pieces after knight c4. I like knight c4. I'm going to go ahead and say that the move that Justin played, which I suggested, was a mistake. I get to have it all ways because I'm not playing.
We have an interesting question in the chat asking about when someone should quit chess, forgetting about enjoyment or time or anything else. When should someone quit chess because their skill level is just too poor? For example, something along the lines of if you can't or don't do X, or if you do X too often, then you should quit. I would say
the problem with that is even the strong grandmasters will say they're not any good, and that and that they think they should quit. So it's all relative.
And also forgetting about enjoyment. So I mean, if you don't enjoy chess, you should quit right now. Like, don't do something that you don't like.
Well, that's
Exactly.
I mean, it is a game, so if you're not enjoying it, it kind of defeats the purpose. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure how bad white's position is after knight c4 at this point, unless there's some very concrete. I think like you want to move the bishop maybe to e7 or f8 after knight c4, and then worst case scenario, you can go knight fd2, but maybe actually you could just play bishop a4, then rook.
Can we just play f6 after knight c4, no matter how bad it looks, and try to play bishop f7 next?
Sure, but then so after knight c4, f6.
There is knight b6 if white wants it, but I don't know if that actually does anything.
I like knight b6, but also like.
I mean, what pieces if
You could play queen e2 there.
comes knight c4?
There we go.
If black should have left his bishops over on f8, not blocking the b file with bishop b4.
Yeah, that's probably true. I'm not sure.
Also, black's knight was on d5 2 moves ago. He's moved it to d5, back to b6, and now back to d5, which just shows me that he's not got a plan. I think
the black bishop should have gone to g5 and f4 and sat there for a while.
Yeah.
Because you can defend e5 for a long time, and you still have the pressure on d2 and c1, and you keep the b file open.
I mean, black can play queen e7 or something like that maybe here. And then there's knight e3. I was actually thinking about that. Here comes the tactical solution, or the tactical, answer to the.
So why can't we just knight f1 take, and then
knight e5, yeah.
take e5?
And black's going for the dark square.
Oh, maybe there's e2. There's e2 at the end. This may be the idea.
Well, but at the end of what?
So I was saying knight f1 takes e3, d takes e3, knight takes e5, and then black has e2.
And if queen e2, bishop c5?
Bishop d6.
Yeah. Also bishop d6.
Then knight c4.
Yeah. Knight c4.
And
But
then
bishop c5 is check, and then queen takes b3.
Well, here we
Knight
go.
takes d6 was played, so.
At any rate, this makes things murky, which was good for Brion, right?
As long as that pawn can't go to e2, should be okay. But black is threatening to play pawn to e2 in this position.
Yeah.
I think
this is a good solution, I think, for black. Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, it wasn't clear to me that white couldn't just play queen e2 in that position instead of taking. But anyway,
that seems strange that white would take really quick and now think. I think white should have kind of figured out the solution. Yeah. Prior to taking on e3.
I agree with that from a practical perspective.
Yeah, we see that a lot. It's the impulsive move made first, and then.
So knight takes e3 runs into queen b6, right?
Yep. Queen f2, bishop c5, and we lose a piece.
Definitely not queen f2. So I was trying to see whether I could make b4 work, and then if e takes d4, knight d5. But I'm not. That's a little scary. That pawn's getting a little close, and I'm not sure that works, by the way. But also queen takes d4. So if not that, then if knight takes e5 here, bishop d6, right?
And knight takes e5, pawn to e2.
Yeah, pawn to e2 or bishop. Yeah, I think pawn to e2.
Yeah, pawn to e2 looks pretty good, doesn't it?
And if queen e2, then bishop c5 check wins a
Bishop
piece.
c5 check. Yeah, that's just over.
What if white very calmly plays bishop to a2 here?
The right square for the bishop.
or maybe bishop a4.
Possibly, yeah. But bishop a4, I'm worried that black can trade, and the e pawn is. I guess we can take back with the rook And
You take back with the rook. So if bishop a4, I think rook a8.
hmm,
Um,
On b3.
and then b3, right? And then bishop b5, maybe. You actually want to.
but bishop a4. Can we play e2? And I have queen a7. Oh, I guess queen a7 check doesn't actually win the full piece though. Oh, because it's tricky.
Yeah. Because you've got b3, right? You take it back.
Right? Yeah, you're gonna
Funny,
get b3.
it's funny. I think white wants to keep the pawn on e3 on the board, and black
I
wants to
think
get
I'm
rid
going
of
to
it.
pick a4. I'm going to claim the right idea here is rook a8, b3, and then bishop b5. Because once the bishop is stuck on a4, then you actually want to take that knight. But it's not over. I mean,
Yeah, interesting.
white can certainly fight
Yeah.
them. It's bad, but it's not over.
Yeah, and it's interesting that sometimes, like Roy's intuition told her that to take on e3 might have been the right move, and sometimes I kind of like this king f1 move too.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, it's creative. That's a creative move. White just wants to put the king on e2 and hide.
I would say it's ballsy, but I think that's inappropriate on multiple levels. But I still think it's true.
Yeah, no, it's a good move. I like it. Or unless it loses on the spot, and then I hate it.
Yeah. So the interesting problem is you kind of want to play something like bishop c5, right? Or maybe bishop f8. But then I was going to say then
It's funny how the bishop's on b4 is in the way, you know?
yeah, it is in the way.
Yeah.
You can play bishop f8, and
What
then
about,
but then either
can I
knight
just say
or-
one thing? What about bishop c5 and bishop to d4?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Right. So if bishop c5, knight a5, and queen b6, yeah, that's got to be right. So bishop c5, bishop a4. Let's do that. I think the bishop on d4 is nice. I'm just not sure it's decisive, right? So bishop c5, bishop a4, rook a8, and now b3, right? Now
Yeah,
you-
maybe
Somebody's-
same idea. Bishop b5.
what? Julie?
Somebody's asking if bishop d2 possible.
Yes, I think it's possible, but I think white can just happily snap up the bishop.
It also,
might just take the
also,
bishop.
by the way, like you don't have to do anything with the bishop, right? Like bishop d2, you could just play bishop a4 right there.
It's true.
Yeah, bishop d2. The bishop is in a strange spot on
Bishop's actually not
d2.
well placed on d2, and this is the argument for playing king f1. The king actually, now there's no knights. The king actually wants to be on e2, so I like king f1.
Yeah, it was a good move. Very good move. It
I
really
almost want to play e2 check, but it would hurt so much to give that pawn up. But just somehow to expose the king.
Yeah, I was trying to make e4 work even. Just try to
Yeah.
blow something open.
Yeah, bishop c5, bishop a4, rook a8, b3. Now maybe bishop b5, because I think you do want to kill that knight if you can.
and go for what, a bishops of opposite color type of attacking
Yeah.
scheme.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, here we go.
Let's peek into the other game because we are approaching under close to 50 minutes. Oppa! And wow, okay. Max just resigned here.
Oh,
Made
yeah.
E3. Yeah. Okay.
Whoa.
Ooh, nice little shot at the end, right out of the textbooks.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Literally forced checkmate. I think
Yeah, beautiful move.
Yeah.
literally force checkmate a couple moves. Queen
Very nice.
yeah,
Okay.
Geometrical and sweet.
very nice, very nice.
Yeah. So this was Mac. Let's speak into Robert. Robert and Christopher's game. We left off somewhere around 18 moves, I think, maybe, or 19, right? Or
Yeah, this is interesting.
and
This
then
is
It's
we
interesting
have
the bishops haven't traded. The bishops have been staring at each other for a while, and no one's
yeah.
blinking.
Yeah.
Boy, I'd like to play knight e5 if I can, right?
I guess black is just going to take it and take d3 is the idea.
Yeah. But then, take h6. Interesting position, actually.
We're going to recapture with the rook on e5. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been quite a struggle here. It's been very difficult to figure out exactly who's been better or what move should be played half the time.
Other option. Okay, well, here we go. Other thought. You can't go rook d1 because bishop takes h4. You could have gone bishop takes bishop, but then knight takes bishop. And you could have just played rook d1 and just played that position. But this seems highly logical. I assume bishop takes e5, right?
Yep.
I don't think you
It's fine.
want to allow queen b7, knight takes c6, knight takes c6, a5.
No.
Funny, but
Yeah, that looks bad.
yeah. So all right, bishop takes e5. I assume then rook takes e5.
And that's what's happened.
Yeah. Now either bishop d2 or queen d3. I guess. I mean, you could go queen d7 or something, right?
Yeah, it's true. You could. It's also knight f5 is an idea.
Yeah.
Defending h6.
Yeah. And now the big question is, does black want to trade the h pawn for the d pawn?
And it's still not clear exactly which minor piece is better yet. It's funny.
Yeah.
I think if black could trade those pieces and then make sure we get to an end game, I think he'd be happy with that. But if you lose the h pawn and allow white to keep heavy pieces on and play h5 and whatnot, then that could be a little bit dangerous.
I'm actually not sure. There are a lot of these bishop versus knight endgames, I think, that are losing for black, because what happens is your queenside pawns are weak and there's a passed pawn, an outside passed pawn.
Right. G4, H5, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So on the other hand, if the knight maneuvers around to a good square, then suddenly the G4, the whole white square complex can be pretty weak.
Yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I like the idea of just playing king g7 and because that d pawn's always going to be weak and tie white down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, also, there's just a very specific question of what do you do after king g7? So if rook d1, c4, if rook e3, knight f5.
It's got to be queen c4 then. Oh, no, because we're just hanging a pawn.
So if rook e3, actually, I take that back. If rook e3, knight d5, because knight f5, you have rook e3, but knight d5, you're taking that bishop on f4. So actually,
white played bishop e5 check. Probably not.
Sorry?
White probably couldn't play bishop f5 check there, e5 rather, because of f6.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I think king g7, why not? Seems pretty logical to me.
And then white has to strike somehow, maybe h5 there.
But in fact, black could just ignore it and play queen takes pawn, if nothing else, right?
Right.
Yeah, the c4 move is really nasty, preventing rook d1, which is what white wants to do.
Yeah.
How about white throwing in
Maybe white could play a5.
A5.
That's what I was going to suggest. A5.
And maybe b5.
Although even like you can just play queen takes pawn, right? And then again, a takes b6, a takes b6, queen takes b6, knight d5, knight f4 is happening. It may not be winning, but it's pretty unpleasant.
Can actually. Oh, never mind. I was hoping for some fantasy where we could take on e6 as white after the queen takes on d3.
Instead, he's played queen
Interesting.
which is interesting. I mean, certainly logical because white's going to have to move the king, and the f3 square is weaker. I'm just unsure whether it was very specifically the right move here. Because now after king g7, now you can defend the pawn with the queen. You can play queen c4.
Yeah.
Right, and that would seem to alleviate some of the pressure. You can even play queen b5 if you want to get cute, and try to put more pressure on the queen side. So I'm not convinced.
So we might actually have Andrew Hong on for just a quick interview.
Very cool.
Sounds good. I'm going to sign off actually. So it sounds it's good timing.
It will be a few more minutes, I think, when he's coming. But
okay.
I like having the kids. Oh yeah, he's in the waiting room. Okay.
Yeah. Put him on.
Yeah. So.
All right. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Bye, Kyron.
Thank you,
Thanks
Kyron.
for joining us.
Great to see you.
We'll have Andrew Hong with us. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. So, congratulations on the win. And how do you like the tournament so far?
It's going fine, but I'm playing badly, so that's a bad part.
I don't think it's bad play, right? I mean, you're in a very, very strong tournament. You're the third seed of this tournament, right after Christopher Yu and Justin Wang, right?
Yeah.
So, did you prepare a lot over the past week or so when the lineup was finalized?
Not really. Just I didn't prepare much. Just relax. And that's it.
Look at this: knight h4 and rook h3, Patrick.
Yeah. What's that?
We are looking at on the Twitch channel.
It looks to me like Black found a tactical solution here.
What game are we looking at? Oh, knight d4 is happening now, right?
Or knight h4 maybe, and rook h3.
No,
knight d4 is crushing.
Lights out. Knight d4 is the end.
Wow.
No.
So, and Andrew, you were one of the past recipient of the Falcon Award, right? And so was Christopher. So this is just showing how incredibly strong of this tournament is. So, what are your plans? Are you planning to travel to any Norm tournament? I know Charlotte Center organizes currently over the board tournaments, Norm tournaments, or what are your plans? So.
Maybe some tournament in Charlotte in the future, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
What's your score now in the tournament?
2 out of 4.
Yeah, 2 out of 4. You lost to Christopher in the first round, right? Which Christopher is leading, so there's no. That was a tough game, and I think Christopher got lucky. I think at the end, if I remember correctly. And, and you had 2 draws against Arthur, who's the second, who's also leading with 2.5, and then you drew last round. Justin Wang was also.
Black's about to play rook cd8. It's all over.
So.
Lights out.
Yeah. What a.
Thank you for playing.
Rook
d1. Okay, we can do it this way. I thought rook d1 would have been nice, and then queen e2, queen h1 move.
That was a nasty finish to that game.
Yep. All right. What else have we got lined up here? Who else is?
Yeah. Okay.
These are the
Um,
chess.com ratings, Dimple Pinch. They're not the actual
yeah,
USCF.
but it also tells a little bit about how active the players are, right? So, Andrew, what's your chess.com regular rating?
Um, what do
And
you
I
mean?
don't know. It like let's see.
You mean USCF rating?
Well, his chess.com, these chess.com ratings 2200
Yeah,
or
they
so.
don't mean much. I think in the grand scheme
They
of things.
don't, right? So we have Arthur Gould here, black, dominating this game still. So do we want to
Yes.
peek into see how Rui is doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
decent
think this
games
is
right now.
the game to watch. Although,
White's put up a lot of resistance.
yeah. So thank you, Andrew, for joining. We wish you good luck and have a good rest. And then 9 a.m. tomorrow, we
Just
we
win the
have
rest
the
of your
next round.
games.
Who are you facing tomorrow? Let me see.
I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Okay, so you have still to play Robert in the morning. 9 a.m. route is Robert, and then you will Rui and then Christopher Shen. So Robert, Rui, and Christopher. So good luck for tomorrow. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
No problem. Okay.
So
Hang on just a second. I'll be back in a minute.
Sounds good. And
yeah,
thank
I'm
you
going to
for
take a
joining.
quick break too, maybe, and we'll get Roy's hanging in there.
Rui is hanging in there, yeah, and then I can tell the viewers a little bit about this tournament and the kind of
Troll alert, Judith.
troll road. Okay, I need to.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'll stay for a while you
oh,
finish.
I don't see any. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. I see. Let me.
So
I,
this is very tough
there
position
you go.
for
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
yeah.
I really appreciate you guys' help. So. Yeah, so
All right.
this is everyone. If you're just joining us, this is round 4 of a 8-player, 7-round round robin tournament. The time control is a little bit slow, gaming 70 plus 10, but this is a national tournament, so we want meaningful, deep, and hard games to decide a national title. And this is actually exactly the same time control as the national invitationals that happened end of July and early August. That was USCF's first tournament that they held online. And we really appreciate USCF's support to allow these national championships to take place online. I think we started with the high school nationals, high school senior rapid tournament mid-June. That was kind of like a pilot tournament that we put together, together with Danny Rode and John Rockefeller and Dwayne Barber sponsored that tournament. It was just exclusively for seniors, and that kind of showed USCF that we can do this. And based on that, they voted for to have the national invitationals, the Barber, the Denker, the Rockefeller, and the girls and the senior national champions invitationals online, and that went really good. And then after that, we applied for this online tournament. We're planning on holding this tournament in person over the board early June, and we had to make the hard call, the tough call to cancel it. Probably we canceled it early April, mid-April. And then we applied for it to having it online, and they approved it 2 weeks ago. We finalized the lineup a week ago, and here we are. So it all got put together very, very fast, and we appreciate everyone's support. USCF and Dwayne Barber sponsoring this tournament with a $3,000 scholarship each, so a total of $6,000 scholarship for the winner, as well as there's a $1,200 prize fund for this tournament. And don't forget, we shouldn't forget the 1 year extension USCF membership that's donated by Dwayne Barber as well. So this is a
Nothing
brief.
to sneeze at.
Yeah, I know.
So it looks like Arthur should be collecting all the pawns.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
White is thrashing around here trying to
So let's
get
jump to
something going.
Rui's game and see how she's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the exciting one. Let's see what's happening.
Yeah, because it seems like Arthur
I was
is.
wondering if that queen was going to make its way over there.
Yeah.
Could be tough. Could be tough. So maybe it's time for the problem with King F1 is Queen G3, Queen E2, Queen H2.
Oh, yikes. Yes.
That would be ugly. So.
And that knight has to stay on C4, at least for the foreseeable future.
So maybe he's got to bite the bullet and play G4.
And then what about Queen G5 and Queen H4, something?
There it is.
She did it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously it's not good, but you can maneuver the king to G2 and the queen to E2.
Yeah, back that way. Interesting.
It's not over yet. It's not over.
Yep.
So it's still
Yeah,
a fight.
although Rui is down on time, and we were
He's
just.
definitely down on time. I think. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, of course, this is very good for black and very bad for white. I mean, if that, there's no question. But
And we were noting in the past games that Rui managed her time really, really well. So she was always equal, and that allowed her to have a good fighting chance again in the end games. So unfortunately, this for me it tells she's gonna be in time scramble a lot earlier than her opponent will be. So it's gonna be hard for her to close.
It's hard to defend.
It's hard to defend, exactly. So I also want to take the chance to give a big shout out to the Chief TD National Tournament Director, John McCumsky. He's helping me supervise the kids and monitor the web cameras for fair play review, as well as he's helping making decisions whenever we have to. And he oversees the whole tournament. So thank you, John, for your hard work. Hopefully you're listening. I can see you in the Zoom meeting, on the other Zoom meeting I'm monitoring. So a lot of people working a lot of hours for this tournament to make it happen. So thank you, guys.
So after King F1 or something, black maybe should try to just blast his way through with F5 and H5 or something like that.
Well, it's black's turn.
Yeah.
Black gets to decide what to do here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure this is winning for black with best play, but
still tough.
It's not over yet, and
Right.
There's not that many pieces left on the board, and white's rook at least has an open file. So, but yeah, clearly this is very bad for white.
And for regular USCF rating, there's almost a 300-point difference between these two players. Obviously, ever since shutdown, I know Rui has been playing every single day online chess, and she's been participating in a lot of tournaments. But Still, that 300 rating point difference has to be taken.
All right, I would play king f1 here. I would just bravely step right into it. Because otherwise, because black is threatening queen f4, queen g3. You've got to go king f1, king g2, or queen f4, queen h2. So you got to do it quick. And if bishop takes b2, you just go rook b1. And if e4, you just go d takes e4. And it looks super creaky, but everything hangs together so far. Oh, I don't know what her idea is here. What's she going to do after queen f4? I guess she's going to do queen g1 or queen h1. So if black goes queen h4, threatening queen takes h3, you've got to play queen f1, I think, right?
And then queen g3.
And then queen g3.
And black's in.
And black's in. Yeah, no, I don't understand what the idea was.
I guess maybe knight takes e3 then.
Yeah.
At what point? Queen h4.
After queen g3. So queen f4, queen f1, queen g3, knight e3. Doesn't look like it's gonna work, but what else is there?
Yeah, maybe. And then queen f4. Yeah, this is exactly the sort of thing you've got to go for. Makes sense.
I think black needs to get one more little thing going, like h5 or f5, to put on the.
Okay, so she's definitely dreaming of some sort of knight takes e3.
Yeah, very concrete idea here to play knight takes e3 and just get that thing off the board. You know, I mean, it's not a bad idea, maybe.
That pin here, but I don't know.
It's maybe the right idea just to you know, take the bull by the horns or something.
I like it. This is exactly the way you have to defend this position. You just hang on. Probably rook b3, right? Like just sort of grind it down a little bit.
And then knight takes e3.
Well, I don't think you want to go knight takes e3. I mean, maybe, but I was thinking more knight a5.
I think, like I said, I think black needs to sort of. I want to see black play f5 or h5 or something like that and try to make some kind of further, you know, weakness in white's camp. But I don't know.
Yeah. I personally like queen h4 better. I'm not a fan of this. Because you're not hitting the h3 pawn.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Now, you can't go b4 because then rook a8. Really too bad. That's your only counterplay.
And what happens on knight takes e3? Does that just lose by force?
Well, I guess we'll find out. If knight takes e3, rook c8 looks off. See, this is the idea of king h7, right? So now takes e3.
Nice. Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's.
Whoops.
It's happened, and now you're right, Patrick. Rook c8 looks very strong.
I don't understand this.
I mean, it could just be an oversight.
I thought you just had to, like, you know, mark time with queen g2 or something.
I think rook c8 looks like the end of the game.
Yeah, I don't get what the idea is here.
That was nicely seen, rook c8. Maybe rook d1.
But then
And
rook
rook c8
c2.
was played, so.
So rook d1, rook c2 check,
Rook d2.
rook c1.
Oh, rook c1. Well, I guess I have to take it.
Although, you can go queen f2. No, queen takes c1 loses to queen e3, king f1, queen g1. But you can still play, that's hilarious. No, you can still play rook d1. Now, of course, with rook d1, you can always play bishop takes b2, right? But might as well kill that pawn, I guess. But rook
Wow.
d1, rook c2, rook d2. Here we go. Rook c1, and then queen f2. And it sure seems like there should be a win here somewhere. Rook h1 probably does. Probably works, right?
Well, I'm not seeing this. If you can't, why can't white play queen c1 if queen e3, king d1?
Oh, yes, you're right. Okay.
So rook c2, rook d2, rook c1, queen e3, king d1.
Yeah, you're quite right. You're quite right.
Maybe.
Yeah. So here I would suggest playing bishop takes b2. Just kill that pawn.
Oh, wait a minute. What
Arthur
about
finished his game too?
wait a minute?
So
What about
this is
bishop
the
takes
last game.
e3? What about bishop e3, queen h2, and rook c2 next?
Yes. So rook c2, rook d2, bishop e3, queen e3, queen h2. Yeah, that's the end of the game, of course.
Or bishop e3 right now, queen e3, queen h2 check.
Yep.
And then rook c2.
But rook c2, either way, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
well, that's not true, because rook c2, knight takes, bishop takes queen, rook takes bishop. Right. That's correct. So, yeah, here we go. Queen takes bishop, rook c2, rook d2, queen h2. Okay, you can do it that way, not as precise. Maybe it's more precise because now
You do it with a check.
king f1, queen h1. No, but king f1, queen h1.
Rook c2 looks good too. There's got to be a win there.
Yeah, no, this is over.
Yeah.
Frankly, king f1, you can just go rook c2.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
king e1 is forced. But then rook c2, right?
Yeah. I think this is well done, but okay, here we go. Now I would like to see
Some blunder.
rook c2, rook d2, queen h1, king e2. And then you work the queen up, and the queen h1, and then rook c1. Queen e4. Yeah.
Maybe this wasn't the right way for black to play it. I mean, or are we overlooking something? Oh, if rook d2, rook c1 check. Just wins the rook on d1.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay.
All right, here we go, rook c1.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's, I think it's been kind of late in the day here. Tragic end.
And we're done. All right, nicely done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's too bad for Roy. Yikes, she hung on there for a long time, but it just wasn't possible to take on e3,
Yeah.
I guess, at that point.
Yeah. Judith, is this it? Is this the last game?
Yeah, this is the last game. Arthur won his game as well. And Rui resigned. This was Arthur's last position. And
Yeah, well,
yeah.
That pretty much sums up that game.
Yeah, it does.
And then Rui resigned as well. So I think this is it. So
Well,
it's a wrap.
Well,
For
nice set
round
of games. Nice set of games. Pleasure joining you guys for the commentary.
yeah, good games. Very good. Hard fought.
Yes, and
All right.
And I'll show you guys. Here's John. I was I was waving at him because
Oh, all right.
and John, actually, if you can you hear us? Yes, you can
Thanks
hear us.
everybody
So
for
he can hear
watching.
us, and if you want to say a few words, but or you can come on the other line. We have the Zoom on the other Zoom if you want to join us for a few seconds.
Well, I'm gonna drop off. My family's having dinner. I'm gonna join them. Good to see
Good
you.
night,
Ryan.
Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick, for your
Congratulations.
help. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Good night.
Okay. Well, I guess it's a wrap for today.
Yeah, Judith. Good job,
And-
Judith.
What's that?
Good job.
Well, thank you so much. And then I guess for the viewers, we can say that tomorrow we have 3 more rounds left at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. Pacific time. So
And I'll be
3 more
joining at
hours.
1.
Yes. And so we have 3 more rounds. We're going to have a few guests tomorrow. We have Malik Karchasian joining around 2 p.m. or so. And then we have John Donaldson joining around 5 or 5:30, along with Josh Friederer, and both of them were part of the Cadet 20 years ago. John was the chief TD, and Josh was one of the players that happened exactly 20 years ago at Mechanics. So kind of a reunion. I managed to organize for them a little bit.
Unbelievable. Time flies.
Yeah, time does fly. So anyway, thank you so much for everyone. I'm going to see if we would like to raid anyone. I don't really know. I want to see if we can raid anyone, but I have to go and see who's online because I haven't been online.
And I'll say good night.
Bye. Thank you everyone for joining us. Who should we raid? I don't really know actually.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can just you should.
There's a Grandmaster Akobian playing.
Yeah, I'm gonna raid a fun channel. It's called Hafu. She's a amateur player, but she's a lot of fun. So I come to learn. She sometimes plays Hands and Brains with Daniel and Robert Hess. So go enjoy her channel. Okay, bye everyone. See you tomorrow.
Good night.
And we rated her. So it should be.
All right, Judith. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.